up, everyone? It is me. Clearly, we are at another delayed time. I have one. There's one viewer right now, which is awesome. I'm assuming it's somebody who just is ready for the podcast of a lifetime. Honestly, and they disappeared. This is how this happens here on this stream. I'm just gonna pull Percy on because I feel like that's gonna be helpful for me. Um, Hello, good sir. I
Hello,
like.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
I like this Peachtree Road Race shirt that you have on.
Right? It's kind of soccery, don't you think?
Yeah, did they get new
So
they're like running shirts?
yeah, so Mizuno dropped them, or they dropped Mizuno, or the contract expired, and Adidas took over.
Oh
It was
wow.
uh-huh.
I did not know that. Well, congratulations, Peachtree Road Race. Clearly upping the game with Adidas. Let me back out a little bit so people can see the full scope of the shirt. That's very nice.
Yeah, it's like a dry fit, a true dry fit this year.
Yeah, how long did it take you to run the race?
Uh, Embarrassingly long, 1 hour and an hour and 8 minutes.
And that's 6 miles?
6.2,
Okay.
and with some Jello shot stops, a couple of beer stops.
Yeah, I mean, 1 hour seems adequate now that you add all the other factors in there.
I tried running with the beer. I took a picture with it, and then I realized very quickly that you cannot run with a beer because that just kind of gets all over
That doesn't make it any bit better. No.
you.
Well, we didn't log on here to talk about the Peachtree Road Race because that would have been one of the brighter spots from what's been happening the past couple weeks. I've got to say that, I started out wanting to do this podcast, and a lot of things have happened in the time between when I wanted to start doing it and where we're at now. The conversation when we first started was the supporter culture around Atlanta United. Right? There was this whole conversation about how it's changed and maybe this would be the year that it gets back to where it was, and clearly not the case. Couldn't have been a worse year, honestly, for us to come up with that assumption that
Well, it's one of those things where we really thought after. Did we get off to a decent start? I don't even think we got off to a decent start.
We didn't. Our first game is when Araujo got injured.
So what we thought, maybe by talking about the supporters culture and all that stuff, it'd be fun, right? But then yes, you get all the injuries, you start losing, and then not to segue into what we're eventually going to talk about, recent things, right? You have all the it's just been so divisive. It's just been so divisive.
Yeah, it's been very divisive.
Not great for supporters culture.
No. And you always look, and we'll get into talking about this, because any good argument, or any person that is trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, you always want to look at both sides, right? So there's always a cause for both. But yeah, I really thought the beginning of the season that the sort of split that we had from supporter culture and the front office, and sort of how distant everything felt, was on a path to change. And we had a conversation about this. I brought Jason Longshore on, and we had multiple talks about Vera. We had multiple talks about the community and like how we expect it to change. And
we had New York Times bestselling author Will Bowen on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started reading it, and then I got distracted by the weekend that I had. But it's
real quick before we even touch anything. Yeah. How was your week? Let's start off a little calm. Let's get calm. How was your weekend?
It's not calm. That's the problem. Like my personal life is blowing up just as much as society is.
But you enjoyed the weekend, maybe?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's just say my stress and anxiety has caused a physical effect to my body. So I'm I'm on multiple tiers right now. Like I really the problem with this is like you want to be on a podcast, you want to shed light and be like, it was a great weekend. You know, all of this great stuff happened, but I'm going through enormous amounts of stressors because I'm in the process of doing something that's a huge change to my life, right? I'm buying a home and I can't control any of it. And you know, for instance, I last time we did one of these, I was drinking champagne because I expected to close on my home 2 days later, and then you know, I get an email Thursday. I went on live on Wednesday, got an email on Thursday that sort of threw that out of the loop, and here I am almost a month later, just confirming my closing dates now. So it's chaos. And then you want to say that it was a good weekend for July 4th, but then, you know, you log on Twitter and you see there, I believe the complete number from this weekend was that there were 7 mass shootings.
Fuck. I only knew about one, and that's because
No,
I stayed off of Twitter a lot this weekend.
Well, I mean, that's a good reason to stay off of it. It's like every time you log on, there's something else going on. I mean, there's more stuff coming out about Chicago now. There was a concert and a fireworks show in Philly, and somebody started shooting people there. And one of the stories of that Philly incident was that this parent took their young, I think he's maybe 4 years old kid to the event, and the kid's now an orphan.
Oh my gosh.
Both parents died. So again, this is like the one on this podcast is to not be dark and like depressing, and we want to talk about like what good things are going on, but it's
but you
like
can't even talk about good things regarding the club right now either, because you can't segue. You can't
the
be like,
Emerson
oh my gosh,
Hyman thing just came out, right? So
exactly.
like we won. We tied over the weekend after a game that, you know, we had actually had spells of possession for a good amount of the game, and we had some clear-cut opportunities in the first half that we should have put away. It really felt like a game where, like, yes, we walked away with a tie and it felt like a win, but really we could have. And you know,
it's one of those things where you just, you know, you can't blame the physio staff, but you want to, but you know, maybe they weren't training enough initially. Now they're overtraining to make up for the lack of results that we're getting, and who knows what the hell is going on, because it was a quad injury this time, right? From what I literally just logged onto Twitter 25 minutes ago, and it was the first thing that popped up on my feed, and I was like, oh shit, fuck. Okay.
Of course. Well, you log on, and right now it's not like a oh crap, you know, it's like a oh yeah, well, makes sense. Like at this point in time, it just makes sense.
It's a 20th injury. The 20th fucking injury. What the fuck is going? Like I mean, we are cursed. Like did Arthur blank sign a deal with Don Garber and say we want to win within the first 3 years of when we're
whatever it takes to make that happen, and now we're just getting.
And then after that, we won't do anything. We'll make some splash signings so we can boost MLS, and but we won't really give a fuck. And you know, most of our players are just gonna take a little vacation for the rest of the year. I'm almost convinced they're actually not hurt. Well, maybe Miles is hurt, yeah. But you know,
definitely. I would also say Guzan's probably definitely hurt. But you know, one of the bright spots here is that officially on the 9th this weekend is when we get our two players in that they can actually start playing. Yeah,
I knew there was like some visa tie up and stuff like that. You know?
Well, it's not even the visa. The international window doesn't open until the 9th, so they can't technically play. And is it today?
It was the 6th. Oh, I could be wrong. I could again haven't.
It's either it's well, I mean, you can turn it either way. It's a 6 or a 9.
Nice.
This is the one bright spot of this podcast today. But no, it really is just this tumbleweed that's just started rolling and it's now just become so massive where it's just taking out everything in its path. I mean, like I think about going to the game this weekend, and I'm not sure that I want to. Thank you, Ariel. It's the 7th, apparently. It's tomorrow that the window opens. But, you know, like they're gonna have to do something. If this front office doesn't make any more moves, which I don't foresee happening, but if they don't make any moves, I mean, it's that Taylor Twellman tweet. What are we doing? What are we doing?
I'm blocked by that asshole.
I know. I'm surprised you're not blocked by more people, to be frank. You
Oh
tend
my
to
God.
lean in that direction more than anything. So
I mean, I guess you could say some of the things I tweet are controversial, but I mean, I also I'm talking to myself on that app. If you choose to listen or read my shit, that's on you. I mean, but but in all fairness, I'm fairly nice and accepting of everything that goes on Twitter, but
I think you're fairly nice and accepting of everything in person. I think
thank
your
you.
Twitter personality is up for debate.
Well,
I think you egg that on a little bit as well. But it's sometimes, and it's the same thing that I said when we started this, that every conversation needs to have two sides.
mm-hmm.
And if somebody doesn't have the ability to see what the other side's coming from, they're not going to have the ability to rationalize in their mind is what I'm doing right or is what I'm doing wrong.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right. And I also do tweet as if everyone knows me. So when people that have no idea what I'm doing, like who I am as a person, when they read my shit, it's like, oh, this guy sounds like a dick.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I got quite a bit of people adding me from stuff that you've tweeted about, asking why you're on this podcast. And maybe we should talk about that now, because clearly it's something that we're dancing around at this moment. I did make a sign, so I'd love to share my sign.
Let's see your sign, Kelly. Not your body, not your life, not your choice. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's just how I feel about it.
Reproductive rights are human rights. I'm completely.
And I just don't. Look, people will feel a certain way offline, and then they'll come online and say something, and if they're not saying exactly what is expected to be said at the time, then I can understand how people will. I can understand why people react, but I do think that some understanding is meant to be had. I mean, like, most people who know you knew you were on vacation. I mean,
yeah,
with your family.
I was absolutely on a beachfront enjoying myself, and then realizing maybe after a few drinks I decided to sign on Twitter, and I saw that, and I didn't even go through my group chat that I typically kind of like throw stuff in there, and then like if I see their reaction and they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Okay, maybe don't do that one." I just went straight to Twitter and I posted while the fire was still hot. So maybe the timing wasn't great. Maybe if I waited a week or two, right? Maybe. I did realize muting things, and I'm sure many people mute me as well, but muting accounts doesn't anger me as much, right? So I started muting the people that were like reposting, like, with the notification that had notifications on for Atlanta United, and they started just like spam posting. I just muted them. And I was just like, oh, I'm happy again. I was like, okay. So
I try not to block or mute. Okay. And I do that because I need to understand that my viewpoint is not the only viewpoint that's out there. Although it pisses me off when I get on Twitter, I think it's more important for me personally to see comments that enrage me, to realize that, there is a group of people who really do think that women who are having abortions are just straight up murdering children.
Right.
So, it's good to know that they're out there. And I will say, as of right now, from the conversations I've gotten into, is that they, no matter what reasoning you give them, there is no changing their minds. And I guess the same could be said to me, right? No matter what rationale that they put on there, although primarily it is solely religiously based, there's nothing that they could say that would change my opinion on the matter. I'm just a little, I think, less violent in my rhetoric. And I think that that's also a problem that we've now landed on whenever in conversation, is that it's just violent rhetoric all the time. But yeah. So let me just put this out there, because clearly I think we saw my sign. Um, I reproductive rights are human rights.
Absolutely,
There
1000%.
is a slew of reasons why abortion, outside of just a woman deciding that at that moment she's not emotionally, mentally, or financially capable of
Hmm.
taking care of a child.
Hmm.
But there are other reasons women have abortions, in the sense of, if they've carried it long term, and then, they've had miscarriages and things like that. There is a actual need for women to abort at a certain time, because if they don't abort, they're risking their life to have not have that procedure done. So
Agreed.
there's
Agreed.
there's a there's a lot of, yeah, I mean, and whether or not you and I agree, that's one thing. I just that's my stance on it. I respect anybody that has a religious stance on it. I respect it. I just don't think that somebody, for me, who is, I mean, I grew up in a Methodist church. I went to church every Sunday through high school, and made a very decided effort after high school that I am not religious. I've had my own experiences with the church. I've had my own experiences with the people who call themselves Christian from the group that I've been around. And I just don't think that I want to be attached to some of the lessons that are being taught, and the way that people are living, that is not what the word's not bipolar. It's they're not
Code
they're not
switching. Sorry.
yeah, well, they're not living their truth, right? So they're out here
Well, it's the people that are the holiest, but then they'll be the first in line to get that procedure done if it happens to them. It's like, oh no, like this is so bad. This is against this, but then big mistake happened to his son, her daughter, and then boom, don't tell anyone this happened. We can't be looked down at like that. But regardless, we agree. Reproductive rights are human rights. Kind of to tie both our worlds together here, my whole thing was I don't need to support of a team or anything that I want as entertainment. I watch for entertainment value. I get, maybe, sure, they have done it in the past, but I don't need it to make me feel better about what I believe in. I believe in, like you said, you weren't trying to convince me. You're not trying to convince anyone else. You believe what you believe, and the people closest to you have your back. You're supported. I don't need Atlanta United to make a statement on my behalf, and I'm going to go ahead and say it was probably a calculated risk, right? For all the other statements they've done before, as far as Black Lives Matter and anti-homophobia and all that stuff. That is, as a business, obviously that's all. We can agree on most of that, all of that. But they're going ahead. They've got someone there that's like, hey, this is actually where our demographic, blah blah blah, polls this way, with this recent development being where we are in the Bible Belt in Georgia, because I think the only team in the South was Orlando that made a statement.
Yes.
Right. So nothing from Nashville, nothing from Charlotte, nothing from Atlanta, nothing from most of the teams, I guess. I would say probably 90% of the teams didn't make a statement.
Correct.
But it sucks to say it, but I think they made a calculated risk as to, who not to distance themselves from, who not to piss off, which kind of sucks to say that, but it's at the same time, you have to realize it's a company, it's a business. They're doing something that's going to benefit their. It's going to benefit their bottom line.
Sure.
They don't actually care about us. They'll promote unity. They'll promote inclusiveness.
Family, inclusiveness.
They'll promote all of that.
Being
but
the 17s.
when it comes down to it, I mean, I don't know. Again, everyone can feel how they want to feel. If they want the support of a team, sure, but you're not going to get it all the time. But that's not saying don't. I mean, what's the point of just what's the point? I don't know.
I
Tell
mean,
me, Kelly.
then you ask for what the point of anything is. Look, I hear where you're coming from. I hear where everybody was coming from, and clearly there I've had many people in my mentions asking me why it matters so much that Atlanta says something.
Hmm.
I think one, it's a little it causes a little bit of a step back for me for a club that has been so politically motivated in the past,
Hmm.
on large issues that were, that, was a concerted stand that they made,
Hmm.
and still make every game,
Hmm.
especially
Hmm.
during, we just came off of Pride Month,
Hmm.
um, that they would choose to not mention or to not give light to. I even think there's a way, calculated or not, you still could have made a statement, whether it was in support or was not in support. You still could have made a statement. Human rights are just rights in general. You should
Hmm.
stand for human rights.
Hmm.
You don't have to come out swinging from the left saying, we're pro-choice, or just saying, human or reproductive rights or human rights. It's just the dichotomy between being so politically charged and then being absolutely silent is just, it lends to me, as a woman who is the only one at this moment between the two of us that are really will ever see the repercussions of this.
Hmm.
um it left me on shaky ground.
Hmm.
um I think that coming from the business sense, where like I work in, and like, to be absolutely fair, I work in a business where we have to ask ourselves these questions. Um, my company didn't say anything for this matter. Demographically, we are a massive majority of men, with a very small minority of women. So the numbers didn't really make sense, although there are internal feelings at our company, one way or the other. So I get where you're coming from with the company. It's a calculated risk. Completely understand. To me personally, I have been a season ticket holder with this club since day one. I have bought almost every freaking jersey that's come out. I've waited in line for things. I've stood in their supporter section almost every game, every home game. I've yelled, I've cheered, I've got beer thrown on me. I've gone through ups and downs with this club. I've stayed loyal. I've fought for the front office. I was invited to speaking occasions where I was asked to talk about the club. Like, I've been involved, and it's something that, like, I have a I have a tag on my car that's Atlanta United. I have an entire drawer in my dresser that's just Atlanta United kits. I spend most of my weekends either at somebody else's home watching the game or at the stadium watching the game. It's a massive part of my life. I don't know what that means, Percy. I can't hear you.
Oh, I accidentally muted myself. My bad.
What I was going to end with is that it's a massive part of my life, and it's the same. And honestly, it's almost the same exact feeling I have towards my father with this. Is when this all came down, my dad, God love him, is a Republican, which is so strange because before the Clinton, Trump, before the voting for that, he was a Bernie guy.
Big Bernie guy.
Big Bernie guy. So the transition from that to where he's at now is I don't understand it, but we've accepted it as a family. My sister, my mom, and I are Democratic. My dad is Republican. We have political debates time and time out, but when this all happened, I looked at my dad and I said, this is not a question of if you're a Republican or a Democrat. This is a question of, if I need an abortion for myself, medically, financially, whatever reason, I need you to stand beside me, and I need you to tell me you will stand beside me.
Mm-hmm,
And he said, yes, I'll stand beside you. And that for him was a big deal. He's not like not really religious. So it's not on a religious basis, but it was this sort of like, for some reason, this has become like a Republican Democrat issue, which is just crazy to me. But it's almost like that, like,
see, I don't see it as a red versus blue issue. I think of it as something logical versus something that's completely dumb. Now, obviously, my mom, quick little story. My mother is very conservative, has very conservative values, and I was shocked when the conversation came up and we were having it, when she said, "I absolutely agree to a woman's right to choose." I was like, "Wow, Mom, she's very Catholic." I wasn't expecting that from her. So and a lot of the people from where I go to, my gym, people I talk to, are on the same boat. Very Republican, pro-Republican candidates, etc. Very conservative, but a lot of people here are super pro-choice, right? Which is weird to me. But I log onto Twitter, and that's when I see the device. That's where I see the divide.
Right.
And it's just kind of like, should I focus on my bubble, or should I focus on social media? And I choose to focus on my bubble, because a lot of the people that clearly now I've realized the people I surround myself with are like-minded, which is nice.
Yeah, it is like-minded. It is nice to be around like-minded people. I 100% agree with you. But I think my problem now is that now that it's not covered on a national basis, my worry is, how in the hell do we protect women nationally? Which, again, is not my problem to figure out. I'm not a politician. But if I keep hearing people say to vote when voting does absolutely nothing because the politicians are doing absolutely nothing,
right,
I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Like, vote, sure, do your job. I mean, we're talking about people's reproductive rights. We're talking about human rights. We're talking about, I don't know, just more thorough background checks. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, excuse my language again, but maybe I just need to get a politician on here to explain what the process of, like, how this works and why literally nothing gets done. Because there are certain things that, as a majority of America, we all agree on. We all agree on more thorough background checks, making it a little bit harder to get guns. And also, we don't need AR-15s. Why does somebody need to be able to buy an AR-15?
To hunt, Kelly.
Duh. Yeah, because that's really going to help you hunt when it's when it's like literally a machine gun in the forest and you miss, and then there goes all the damage.
Fun fact: I've never shot a gun ever in my life. Never pulled a trigger. Never.
Oh. Can't say the same. But.
Oh, shit! Big gun-toting rebel over here.
No, a majority of my mom and dad's family are Republicans. They have guns. They're in law enforcement. So it's been, holidays where they've gone to the backyard and you're like, "Here, Kelly, shoot the can."
You know what? I have shot an airsoft gun, but I don't think it's the same thing.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Okay.
And I don't mean to, like, look, politically, there are many thoughts, schools of thought here, but going back to the basis of, like, sort of where all of this comes down to is, in ways, Atlanta United to me is akin to my family. And in some ways it's like a father figure, in the sense that I respect Atlanta's opinion on stuff, and I look for the validation of feeling wanted by somebody that I respect that much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's somebody significant in your life.
I see how you compare it to your dad now.
It's them telling, what?
I see how you compare it to you compared it to your father before. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's you wanting to get the validation that you are worthy of control over your autonomy from
Mhm.
somebody you really respect. It
Mhm.
it it's it'd be a little, and it is a little jarring that it's silence. I mean, like, I've had people send me messages that they've gotten personally from like the club services people, right? The fan services people, and they're blatant. You know, you feel like you can copy and paste them in the email, and then there are people that within those emails, the actual people who run fan services are responding to these people, be like, look, I don't technically agree with what we're doing, but like personally, this is where I stand, but this is like where the club's at.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm. Mhm. Calculated risk kind of sucks, huh?
it's a calculated risk that really only affects a gender, an entire gender in this nation.
Directly. You're right. Yeah. It stinks. I wish it
So
could have done more. And, I'm going to be very, very interesting to see how they, promote everything, promote unity or love or,
oh
standing
yeah, no,
behind
the moment
standing
they do
behind women's month, like, like any of that stuff is going to be like,
International Women's Day is going to be a fucking joke.
oh my gosh.
Absolute joke.
Oh my
But that's
gosh.
that's their calculated risk. I mean,
Right.
they're basically saying we don't need to stand up for women,
Right.
because it doesn't hit our metrics to stand up for women, even though it may or may not be the right thing to do.
I feel like if they didn't have a season ticket waiting list of what is it, 20,000 people waiting for season tickets
I,
still,
I don't know.
um, they would have probably been a little more like, oh, let's figure out who's actually coming to our games. But then I think about, well, yes, there are a lot of people from Atlanta that are very democratic, very liberal, but there are also a lot of people from up in the suburbs that are not. And I think that's where they're
But I mean,
getting
you're
all the.
talking about also a bubble that you come from, where they are the people that you said you've talked to are
Yeah,
also
and which are
voters.
very, yeah, and so it's kind of like I don't get how they calculate the risk. Is it by voting records? Is it by age and religion, ethnicity? Like how they because obviously they have all this information. I don't know how they do it, but I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to see support, but I also don't live and die off of. I'm not gonna like. And unlike you, we all have different experiences towards the clubs, and that's one thing I should have clarified, that everyone is allowed to feel however they want. But in my opinion, for me, the club agreeing or disagreeing with me does nothing.
I feel that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it. I get it. I don't know where. I mean,
So,
I didn't stand for it for the first week and a half that they didn't say anything, and then I sort of came to acceptance at some
mm-hmm.
point, but it just becomes, I mean, it's not like it's a wash away. I mean, we still know that they haven't said anything.
Yeah, and they won't because no one's talking about it anymore, and it is they're not
No,
going to.
I wouldn't say no one's talking about it anymore. It's still being talked about.
Well, I
It's
mean,
still very much at the forefront of certain people's minds.
right, but is it on your mainstream media? Is it going across the ticker? Right, it's kind of one of those things. The ember was hot, everything was flaming hot a couple of weeks ago, and then it's kind of died down. If they didn't do it when they should have, do you really think they're going to do it now?
No, I
And
don't think they're
also,
going to do it now.
would you accept it now? Would you even say like, okay, actually, yeah? Would you accept? Would you accept? Would you accept a statement if they posted one before the game this weekend?
Yeah.
You would. You
Mhm.
wouldn't, in the back of your head, and this will segue into Ariel's question of what do we expect attendance to be like this weekend after all this. You wouldn't think it would be to try and fill up the stadium a little bit.
In my opinion, I wouldn't give a fuck because
Okay.
they actually said something.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
Fair.
look, if it's to fill a stadium, if they really need the attendance for this upcoming weekend, sure. But at least
It
in
will be funny. It will be interesting to see what the turnout is, considering it is a full stadium game.
it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm at this moment still planning on going. I'm gonna do the same thing I've done the last couple of games just because I've been fucking over it. Again, excuse my language. I'm just in a mood right now. I will go, but I'm not gonna stand in the seats. I'm gonna stand at the atrium. I'm gonna walk around. I'm
Is that why you were doing that? I didn't know that was.
Yeah.
I thought you were just kind of like done with the supporter section.
I'm done with the supporter section, and that's a whole other conversation we can get into later. But I'm done with the supporter section. I am my life also is just like Atlanta United was my stress release, and now
Yeah.
it's just something else that's just, and I'm getting emotional now because it's like, again, I cannot stress to you
What
guys
a-
enough like how
Would a win lighten your make you happier, or would it in the back of your head would it still be like, well, we won, but these assholes still didn't say anything?
I mean, yeah, I mean everybody's happy after a win. It's like endorphins, but I I don't know. I don't know. I can't gauge it. I mean, I'm going to be in the middle of, you guys can't see it, but like my entire apartment is just boxes right now. It's just boxes and
You are in
boxes
boxes.
and yeah.
Oh wow.
So I literally have nothing on my walls.
It's nice.
Yeah. So we now have down to one viewer.
Ariel. I think Ariel's still holding strong.
Thanks, man. It is what it is. People jump on and then they're like, I'm not here for this. This is too heavy. But
no,
I mean, do you feel like the stadium's going to be full? Like, what is your opinion on it?
I mean, the stadium really hasn't been full for our medium capacity games, right? You know, so do I think tickets are going to be? It's the weekend after the 4th, and I bet tickets are going to go for like $15 to $20 for the 300s. Maybe I would say that it's the Saturday night game. You know, it's something to do, something to get in the door. So maybe, yeah, it'll be full, but I don't know. I mean, the supporter section has Ariel's here. It's us three, baby.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, we're holding it down. Absolutely. Yeah, we'll see. I'm also on the fence. My parents just went away to Peru for 6 weeks, and they left me their entire season tickets for the next 6 weeks. So I have 2 tickets. My brother's taking them for the week of for the game on the 17th, but I'll be on vacation, so not a big deal.
You're on vacation, man. Like, when do you?
I know.
Why are you never not on vacation?
It is. Well, yeah, we leave Sunday for a week, so we're going down to Perdido Key. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be fun. Vacations.
Mm-hmm.
Good fun time.
Hopefully nothing goes down on Twitter again, because I'll be drunk on the beach, and that's not good for anybody.
Don't log on. Do not log on. If I see you tweeting when something happens, I'm going to text you and tell you to take it down immediately because you are not in the state to be tweeting, sir.
And there, oh
right.
man. Oof,
so
anyway.
So thoughts for this upcoming game this weekend?
Austin is what, second in the Supporter Shield standings in points right now.
Yeah.
But they have 2 players suspended for this game, don't they?
I am not entirely sure. I'm figuring out.
I'm pretty sure they have 2 people coming in. Is it Pereira? Again, I have tuned out of Twitter mainly because of everything going down, and I was just like getting depressed a lot. So so maybe it has affected me, and I just don't subconsciously. It has affected me.
You think it hasn't, but it has. You normally are more active on Twitter.
I haven't really looked into the. There was a time that I was tweeting under everything Atlanta United positively or sarcastically just to drown out the other posts, like the other tweets that were just like the copy and paste tweets, and I would purposely comment. But then I just stopped doing that because I stopped caring, and I'll just I stopped listening to podcasts. I stopped doing. Shit, maybe it has affected me. Okay, yeah.
It's crazy how that happens.
Subconscious. Damn, I just went through I just went through therapy with you.
You
Fuck.
did go through therapy. You're so welcome.
Oh
That's
my
what
God.
this is. It's now Kelly and
Just-
Friends in Therapy.
Just shoot me the invoice. I guess we'll trade it off. We'll barter for work done.
Yeah, look at that. Yes, here for it. But no, I think that, I don't know where, I mean, you at this point in time, you can't even predict a starting 11 because
Nope.
God knows there may be another injury, and there goes your prediction.
Mhm.
It's just, gosh, it's a cataclysm of things right now. But I'm not even going to get into what I expect for this game to be. I think we got into everything that we wanted to get into, which was
Stuff that's been on our minds.
yeah.
No, but yeah,
A collective
Ariel.
sigh.
Ariel, yes, they do remind, and they're very similar to Atlanta United, especially the way they're playing very, very offensive style of play, and it's
They're going to be difficult.
but
It's kind of sexy, is what you're saying?
it's kind of sexy.
It's kind of sexy. It is.
I miss Frank de Boer. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, we're not doing that. We're not getting done into that.
Mm.
All right, well, we've reached the 40-minute mark. I think that's enough. And thank you, everybody who stopped in and watched, and everybody who will watch this again. And then I may or may not actually get this up on StreamYard, not StreamYard, but Spotify and Apple iTunes, and oh God, who freaking cares? All right, well, thank you guys for watching, listening, all that good stuff. Percy, you want to tell people where they can find you and harass you?
I'll be in Perdido Key July 10th through July 17th. So if you're in Perdido Key,
Not
Florida,
like actually physically where you are, my lord.
You come find me at 4575. No, I'm kidding.
No, don't do that
find
either.
me at PH_AROUT on Twitter.
All right, so since you guys are leaving on Sunday, are you coming to the game on Saturday?
That was why I didn't know if I was going, because it's I don't know. I haven't really felt that. The tailgates are fun. I always go with Sean,
sure.
and Urch, and sometimes Ron if he decides to come down from his castle up in the sky.
It is a nice castle, though.
But yeah, we'll see. It's a night game. That means the tailgate will probably start around 3, 4. That means
I won't get there till 5.
9 o'clock. It'll be like 95 degrees. Actually, I don't know the weather, so maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'll just show up and walk up. There'll be a seat. So anybody who wants to come with me, hi. I'm just kidding. I'll take one of my daughters.
It's probably a better choice than just some random lady that hit you up. Yeah, probably. Well, you can find me at Kelly Francis on all the social medias. I don't know why you'd want to, but please. Some people said,
Who are you?
I don't know who I am. Do you know who you are? Some people said opinions on your opinions. I gladly ask you to watch this and then tell me if you have opinions on my opinions, and we can have a wonderful discourse back and forth between this, because I'm up to hearing your side of the argument. Doesn't mean that you'll persuade me to join whatever your viewpoint is, but I welcome the discourse. So outside of that, this has been
one last thing.
Yeah.
Going on piggybacking off of what you said. For anyone that's like, oh, this guy's an asshole on Twitter, I don't use burners anymore. It's me. It's just me. So it's like my only account. So I will tell you how I feel about you.
So did you just admit that you used burners before?
Fuck yeah. I used like 4 or 5 different ones. I was rotating through them. But that was also like probably peak COVID and maybe early 2021. I was just going crazy. I was like, fake email. Oh, da, 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 da. Now it's just me, because I'm like, what the fuck do I have to lose? But I did have to change I used to have first and last name on my
I remember
as my handle.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got doxxed by some Orlando fan. And job, history, address, everything.
Oh,
so
gross. What is wrong with people?
I was like, all right, maybe we won't do that one anymore. So that's why it's PH for obviously my name, and R out, because I was like, what the fuck goes with PH? I was like, oh, it's like a F.
Far out, bro.
Far out. Yeah. So I was like, all right.
Well, I use my name, so.
Well,
It is what it is, I guess.
You also don't travel down those wormholes.
I don't.
I do.
I also don't get onto really aggressive Twitter battles with people.
I do.
Yeah, I know. That's
I do.
probably why it's smart that you change your name.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate it. We are going to head up for the night as I also get ready for a soccer game that I'm playing later tonight. So
Awesome. Well, good luck with your game.
Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.